Welcome back, trainers. So we're going to be talking more about Shadow Pokemon, things you need to know here. Since it's been out for a while now, a lot of you have been tagging me and letting me know information, so now I'm going to be able to share it with everybody else here. So let's go ahead and talk about if you do a lucky trade right off the bat. I'll be answering more questions about the Pokestops, how long do they last, what happens if you lose, and things like that. Now, in my last video, I said, okay, well, it seems like the IVs on the Shadow Pokemon are not great, but in fact, you can possibly get a 100 straight from that catch screen after you do Battle Team Rocket. So, not likely, but possible. As you can see, this IV on the Charmander is not horrible. Now, if you did have a lucky friend and you guys did a mirror trade, say both of these were Charmanders, and if you did not know this, when you do a lucky trade, the floor for the IVs are going to be 12 all around. So if you were so happen to get, say, 13, 13, 13, and you did purify that Pokemon, when you do the purification process, you do gain 2 IVs for every stat. Therefore, it'll bump it up to 15 on each one, and you will be able to have yourself a 100% purified Pokemon. Now, this is pretty good. If you can get that lucky friendship trade and do that mirror, that's going to be great. Of course, you want the lower attack for the PvP, so if you're trying to get a Shadow Pokemon, I wouldn't really worry about it too much. You could try to shoot for that perfect one by battling a whole bunch of Team Rockets, and maybe you might get that higher stamina and defense and lower attack. But that is a tip right there on how to get the 100% IV. It's simply going to be trading with somebody that is going to, say, guarantee a lucky trade. So don't go off and do a bunch of trades with somebody and just, you don't have a lucky friendship and you're just trading back and forth with your Shadow Pokemon. And before you know it, you traded them all away and none of them became lucky. That's going to be very unfortunate. So make sure you try to get that lucky friendship, or at least somebody who hasn't done a ton of trades and has 2016 Pokemon. Then you will be able to possibly get that guaranteed lucky trade, but they're not going to be able to give you a Shadow back. You have to think about it like that. You're going to have to take turns or whatever you have to do. So you can get these 100, and that is a good trick to possibly get that Pokemon for you. Now, of course, when you purify it, you will be getting that new move, Return, which I did use. I suppose it's okay. It's, it can find some usability, I suppose, but mixed with, say, a Community Day Charizard, if we are allowed to evolve the Charmeleons in the future, like they did last year for all the Community Day Pokemon, you will have Blast Burn and Return, which possibly can be somewhat decent, I suppose, although Dragon Claw is also very nice. But think of it like that. You have different combinations that you can mix and match with and possibly even get yourself a 100%. Now, if you did do a lucky trade and it hit the floor for 12 all around, and then you did purify it, you're going to be sitting at 14, 14, 14, which is not bad. But personally, if I had a Shadow Pokemon with even 12 IVs all around, I would still be happy with that. As long as I had that mirror lucky trade, that's going to be pretty neat. So I don't think you're going to be able to completely max these Shadow Pokemon out because they do not have the same potential as regular Pokemon. Not only that, everything else is going to be costing a lot more, and there's no benefit to it. So just take note of that. That is how you're going to be able to get yourself 100% IV. Possibly Shadow Pokemon if you're lucky enough to do that during the trade and it just became 100. Or if you hit the 13, 13, 13 mark, go ahead and purify that and you will be able to gain 2 IVs on each stat, therefore putting it at 100% IV. Alright, now let's talk about how to find one of these corrupted Pokestops that are going to be a little bit darker. Then once you get to them, you spin it and then Team Rocket. What I've noticed and the pattern that I keep seeing is they're kind of stops that people really don't spin all too often. That first one that we did just look at was way off in the woods. I ran and booked it through there. I actually got footage, but I decided to not put it up because it might make a few of you sick because I was just moving the camera around, running through the woods, Blair Witch Project style. So yeah, that's kind of what I've noticed so far is Pokestops that are not being spun all too often. It's same with the Pokestop that I spun downtown. It was kind of away from the usual route that people take and spin, and that's maybe why it did spawn there, as well as all of the other stops that I am actually showing you in this clip are kind of Pokestops that people don't tend to spin all too often. So the less activity at a Pokestop, possibly the higher chance of them becoming corrupted with the Team Rocket. So there is that tip there. Don't know how much that's going to be holding true, but that's just from my experience. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the CP of these Pokemon. So that Charmander was 1995, and now this Charmeleon is going to be 3339. So that is pretty high up there, way past the Great League. And a bunch of us did go to a corrupted Pokestop earlier, and some of them had Master League, some of them had Great League. I'm not too sure what's going to be the determining factor. Maybe possibly what you did last, but I don't know. It could be completely random. So that is something to take note of as well. They're going to be much higher CP than what is actually going to be standard for that specific cup. In the Great League 1500, in the Ultra League 25, and then the Master, you can pick any sort of number there. This one was pretty funny here. There was a Meowth right next to it, so I was like, oh, look at that. That's very Team Rocket-like. So this is the one all of us did rush to. We were doing a little tournament, and then all of a sudden we see this. We're like, oh, time to relocate. And then we just had it next to this Pokestop here, so that was pretty fun. I was able to do 7 so far. I've caught 3 Charmanders and 2 Zubats, a Squirtle, and then a Rattata. Yeah, so we're looking pretty good here. I did evolve, as you've seen, the Zubat all the way up to Crobat just for kicks, because it seems like at this rate, the way I'm playing, I'm going to be able to find them quite frequently, and I've already got a bunch of doubles there. So if somebody did want to do a mirror trade with a possible Crobat that is Shadow, then I will be down to do that. That's going to be pretty nice. If I am able to do that, I will be powering it up for the Great League and see what it can do. I mean, honestly, having that move, I'm going to try to TM it. I'm going to try to TM Frustration. I don't think you can, but I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. It's just the look, that shadow look with those red eyes. I mean, it looks amazing. So how long do these actually stay once you see them on the map? Granted that you see it when it actually spawns. I don't know if you'll be willing to time it or sit there or wait to see how long it'll last. But at this point, it's looking like they're going to be staying around for about 45 minutes or so. It could vary, but that's kind of what I'm getting the hint at. Maybe an hour, but it looks like about 45 minutes. So there is that as well. Now, what happens exactly if you lose to one of these Team Rocket grunts? Is that your only chance? No, you will be able to go back and fight it. Granted, it is still spawned at that specific Pokestop, and then simply just tap on it again and you will be able to pick your team and go right back in. Simple as that. All right, now I will be trying to TM Frustration off of this Crobat here to see what happens, and it will prompt you to, do you really want to do this? And I go ahead and hit confirm here in just a moment, and we'll see what happens. All right, took a little while to do that, and it stays the same. Now I was like, okay, did it just use one of my TMs? And it didn't. I had 15, but I checked again, and it just simply does the same thing, and I still have 15 TM. So you cannot TM away Frustration. So that is going to be another negative for the Shadow Pokemon, unfortunately. You're going to have to purchase a secondary move if you want it to be usable in any sort of way, because that move is just absolutely horrible for PvP and PvE. So when you do power up and purchase that secondary move for the Purified Pokemon, you will be getting a 10% Candy Cut as well as a 20% Stardust Cut. Now, when you trade lucky Pokemon, once they become lucky, the whole gimmick is to get good IVs as well as that Stardust Cut for powering them up. Now, I'm curious as to wondering, are they going to stack? So you're going to get that cut for the Purification as well as them being lucky. I'm really excited to test that out. I'm not too sure if anybody has any information on that. If you do, please let me know in the comments below. Be excited to test that out because that would be quite a significant cut on that. Now, think about in the future when they do possibly release higher ranked Pokemon like legendaries, because I can totally see them doing this. They're just starting off small here, guys, with the starter Pokemon and a few others on the side. And then eventually they'll probably work up to legendary Pokemon, which I'm hoping are going to be somewhat difficult to battle. And you have to be sort of skilled or at least have some powered up Pokemon. And we'll just see how that goes. And if that is the case, you're definitely going to want to make those lucky beer trades if somebody else did have those, and try to purify it and get those max IVs with that Purification and that massive cut for that Stardust power up there. So pretty exciting stuff regarding the Shadow Pokemon, guys. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to get to those in my next video here. And taking a look at one of the last stops here, this is a stop that is readily available to a lot of people, but it is out of the way in the corner here. So another one did spawn at the opposite end of where it is at, and this was way earlier in the day. I did upload that earlier too. So I'm thinking that these Team Rocket people are going to be spawning possibly at Pokestops that are not being spun all too often, but are still getting spun to some degree. So I am using my Purified Rattata. I did invest in Powered Up. I don't ask no questions. I just did it to test it out. But I'm not going to be doing that again until I get a lucky one or some sort of crazy good IVs, or probably even one that I really like. The Eradicate was just something for fun and kind of an experiment to test out there. Just let's go ahead and go over the badges here. So once I do get into the possible silver, or at least get to 10, I will be able to receive more Premier Balls for that catch screen. And this is going to be something very useful because when the legendaries possibly do come out for these, you're going to want to have as many of these Premier Balls as possible, right? As well as this, the Purification. The more purified Pokemon you have, once you get to that next stage in the badge, you will be able to get more Premier Balls, enabling you to have more possible chances to catch that Pokemon. All right, trainers, and another thing, before I let you go, I have to give you as much information as possible. The current Pokemon that you can find Shadow, we're only seeing basic stages. So out of this list that we do have here, that is going to be Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Rattata, Zubat, Snorlax, which looks awesome, Dratini, and Mudkip. So I haven't seen anybody with a Dratini or a Mudkip that has been Shadow. So let me know if you found one. I have seen people with the Snorlax, and the eyes glow bright red. It looks quite amazing. So there you have a current list as of now on which Pokemon you could possibly find at these stops once you do beat Team Rocket. Thank you for watching, trainers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and I'll be catching you all next time. Take care.